What is up, everybody? It's Ronnie. Today, we're going to be talking about inflation, how it's impacting the car business. We're also going to be talking about the upcoming recession and what we think about that. And also, why being a broker and working with a broker is a lot different than working with a traditional dealership when it comes to these particular times like the recession and inflation, and why we built this business to be very helpful to you and very different than a traditional dealership. Stay with us. We're going to get started right now. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for following. We're going to start doing these videos again once a week. Today is the 30th of June. We're going into 4th of July weekend, but we're going to start cranking this stuff out again because we like doing it and we really appreciate you joining us on this journey. So let's talk about what we're talking about today, the inflation stuff, the recession. There's a lot of fear in the marketplace. We hear about this every day. Gas prices are going crazy. Tell me you have heard this stuff, right? Drop in the comments how this is affecting your family, because stuff is real, but there's also ways to navigate through it. Some of the things I find funny are just looking at news articles, right? Like, so check this out. I'm looking at automotive news, and you can go see this online, but on June 13th, it says wholesale used vehicle prices show some easing. And if you read through that, it'll say prices fell slightly through the first quarter of 22. 4 days later, on June 17th, wholesale used vehicle price index shows slight seasonal increase in May. So is it real? Is the market going crazy? Do we know what's going on? Do you even need to be worried about it, right? You got to be thinking the same thing I'm thinking, like this is just new news every day. All I can offer you guys is my opinion based on doing this business for over 20 years. And, I'm not the end all. I don't have all the answers. But based on what I've been seeing in the car industry for the past couple of years since the pandemic, is the market is really strong. And this is nothing new, right? The market is strong. If you've got a car to sell right now, you're probably going to get more money for that vehicle than you ever could have imagined before the pandemic. But that cuts both ways. If you're looking to buy a vehicle right now, you're finding that the prices are really, really inflated, and the demand is just driving those prices through the roof. In a report that I read yesterday in Automotive News, the average vehicle new car price is upwards of $47,000. In this magazine right here, it's like 45,502 based on Automotive News. Average household income in America is like 76,000. So like it's approaching that kind of a number, guys. Like it's gotten really big. So what they're saying, even in this article, is that median income households don't buy new vehicles. They just don't. And it's kind of a paradox for the car industry. So I've got questions for you guys. How does that make you feel? Like, to me, it kind of upset me. I'm like, you know what? I have a lot of median income friends that basically buy new cars. I mean, they just buy them in different ways, or they strategically plan to do their shopping, after 3 years of ownership or whatever. Like, it's like there's different ways to get through this particular type of market. It doesn't always have to be gloom and doom. For myself personally, I get tired of looking at the news telling me what I can't do. You can't go anywhere because the gas prices are too high. You can't buy a house because the housing prices are too high. The car pricing is too high. So, okay, what can you do? And it kind of goes back to what I talk about a lot if you watch any of my videos. It's just basically planning your purchases. And if you've been with me on this ride for a long time, you know I talk about this a lot, is trying to plan these particular events in your life instead of reacting to the market. Right now, everybody's looking at the news, looking at all of these things and going into a recession, and they're just reacting to it. And so my only advice is stop doing that. Let's just plan what we're going to be doing. And so, yes, inflation is a fact. The recession is a fact. There's nothing we can really do about that as individuals. But what we can do is start looking at other facts. And these facts may not line up with you, but I'll tell you they're really true in my particular town of 750,000 people. Usually people trade vehicles every 3 to 32 months. 30 to 32 months is the trade cycle in Colorado Springs for the past 10 years. Like, people ultimately end up getting rid of those cars every 3 years. Either they have to get a bigger car, they want to downsize, or the car's in an accident, something happens to it. Like, once again, you may be the exception, not the rule, but the rule is every 30 to 32 months. So what I hear from people that have been in their cars for a long time is they don't need to buy a car. They've got a car. They don't have any payments. It's never going to end. I'm like, guys, yeah, that's great. I don't want you to have a car payment right now, but you really have to start looking at your life like, listen, we have to plan for this so we don't have to react to all of this craziness that's going on right now. And that's my honest opinion. Really start planning for it. Even if your car's 10 years old and you hadn't have a payment in 10 years, maybe you should investigate what it's going to cost you right now if you total your car. And how are you going to deal with that particular situation and fund that money for that new vehicle you're going to need or used vehicle, whatever it is. But just going into it blind, I think, is a bad strategy right now. All right, guys, enough with the gloom and doom. Let's talk a little bit today about why a broker is different than a traditional dealership and what separates us and makes us different, especially in this particular market climate. Now, we started this business in '98, right at the end of another particular bubble. It was called the technology bubble. And when we sat down at a table, there was three of us, and we decided, hey, how can we make this business as recession-proof as possible? I hate to say recession-proof because the pandemic changed all of that. But, how can we make it as recession-proof as possible? What we came up with is no fixed inventory. And that's the big difference between being a broker and being a dealer. When you have a dealership, you have a car lot like this. It's cars on the lot. You buy them and hope that people want to pay for them. And so it also changes who you are. It changes what's best for the client, because all that matters is how do we sell the inventory that we purchase that is depreciating every month on our lot. When you're a broker, it's a little different, right? We're taking orders. We're sitting down and advising people, and then we're taking orders for vehicles. Whether the market's low, high, in the middle, it doesn't matter. We just kind of ride on that graph that you see when you look at the stock market. So that means if we're looking for a truck today, the prices are high. If we're looking for a truck 2 years ago, the prices were a little bit lower. But we're never in a position where we have to force people or try to talk people into purchasing vehicles, because we're only going to advise them properly, give them the best advice, and then we're going to go execute once they make a decision. You, the client, are in control the entire time, not just us because we have a piece of metal outside that we want you to buy. So for those of you out there who want to become brokers, I get the messages from you guys. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments or reach out to me through the website. I'm happy to talk about it all the time to show you how you can do this for yourself wherever you are in the country. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. We'll be back next week with a different topic. We're going to watch how this recession plays out. But don't get afraid, guys, because you're going to plan your purchases, your leases, your trade cycle. You're not going to let this stuff hit you in the face. You're going to make sure you're proactive instead of reactive. I'm Ronnie Haskins. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good weekend. Happy 4th of July. We'll see you next week.